Hi, my name is Pastor Hal York, and welcome to Truth in the Trenches. Today we're going to be in Proverbs chapter 17, verse 27. He who has knowledge spares his words, and a man of understanding is of a calm spirit. He who has knowledge restrains his words. Wise people, knowledgeable people, are not always the ones who talk the most. Sometimes it's just the opposite. The people who seem to know the least seem to do the most talking. The part of knowledge and wisdom is knowing when to speak and when not to speak. One translation puts it, he restrains his words. Restrain implies self-discipline, the ability to control the tongue to some degree. A wise person tends to speak carefully. They tend to speak cautiously. They don't want to say something wrong. Someone who possesses knowledge and seeks to use it for good is careful with their words. When they do speak, they aim to stay on topic and choose their words thoughtfully, allowing time to think before responding. They conserve their words because it's better to hold back than to waste them. To guard the heart is to guard the tongue, and Proverbs tells us to guard our hearts. He who has knowledge understands what James tells us about the tongue. I won't read it all, but let me read a few verses in James 3 through 6. Indeed, we put bits in horses' mouths that they may obey us, and we turn their whole body. Look also at ships, although they are so large and driven by fierce winds, they are turned by a very small rudder wherever the pilot desires. Even so, the tongue is a little member and boasts great things. See how great a forest a little fire kindles. In the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. The tongue is so set among our members that it defiles the whole body and sets on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire by hell. Elsewhere we read in Proverbs, when words are many, transgression is not lacking, but whoever restrains his lips is prudent. Proverbs 10:19. So we can see why a man of knowledge spares his words, chooses his words carefully, thinks before he speaks. He does not feel compelled to interject his opinions into every conversation. Not every hill is a hill to die on. As we saw last time, a man of knowledge and understanding is one who sees the value in listening to other people. Proverbs 15:14, the heart of him who has understanding seeks knowledge, but the mouth of fools feeds on foolishness. This does not imply he never speaks, but when he does, he has something to say, something pertinent, something relevant, and something helpful. He understands Ecclesiastes 3:7. There's a time to be silent and a time to speak. He's not interested in just filling the air with words. There's enough of that today. Talk, talk, talk is all we hear. But this verse says a man of knowledge restrains or spares his words. He's not talking about a person with a certain kind of personality or temperament. He's talking about a man of knowledge or a woman of knowledge, restrains or spares their words. Knowledge combined with wisdom and humility causes a person to be more interested in helping others understand, rather than just ensuring others know how much they know. And he also adds at the end of that verse, a man of understanding is of a calm spirit. Again, this speaks to character, speaks to self-discipline, self-control. And this calmness is reflected in many ways. For example, when he walks into a room that's filled with tension and heated discussions, he's not drawn into them so as to add to the tension. They do not throw gas on the fire, they throw water. They seek to calm things down by restraining his words and maintaining a calm demeanor in such a situation. And such people are respected by their neighbors, their friends, or colleagues. You want people like this on your team, in your workplace, on your committees, and so on. They're people, as one translation puts it, they have a cool spirit. Now, it's not cool in the hip sense, but even-keeled, cool, not easily riled up, even-tempered. And Jesus modeled these qualities perfectly. When the Pharisees brought the woman caught in the very act of adultery to Jesus, what did Jesus do? Did he preach a sermon on the sin of adultery? Did he preach a sermon on being judgmental? Did he add the fuel to the fire? No. He stooped down and wrote in the sand. We're not told what he wrote, but one by one the accusers began to leave, from the oldest to the youngest. When Jesus walked into the upper room the night before he was crucified, the disciples were arguing about who would be the greatest in the kingdom. Did Jesus walk in and lecture them on the dangers of pride and the virtues of humility? No, Jesus took off his robe, he strapped on a towel, and began to wash the disciples' feet. And may it be evident in us as we live our lives today that greater is he who is in us than he who is in the world. That Christ lives in us, that we are no longer walk as we once walked. We've been changed, we've been given a new heart and a new mind, and the Spirit of God living in us and working powerfully in us that we might live the truth and live as Jesus lived and live the truth of this verse we've just read, that he who has knowledge spares his words, and a man of understanding is of a calm spirit. May we be this kind of people, this kind of person, as we walk through our day to the glory of God and the good of others. May God bless.